Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different because I'm going to be recapping my trip to Namibia. When I was in Namibia, I volunteered with an organization that is dedicated to the conservation of the desert elephants in Namibia. When I was there, I was planning on doing a vlog already, but I'll show you what some of that footage looked like. Set to go to Damaraland in a little bit. We will be starting with Build Week, where we will be helping to build a wall around a farmer's water supply. So as you can see, I'm not as comfortable in front of the camera as I am today, so I'll be recapping this trip while narrating the beautiful footage that I captured and taking you through this trip because, to be honest, it was one of the most epic trips I've ever made, and it really resonated with me because I love wildlife and I love that this organization is making such a great impact, not only on the elephants but also on the local communities. So let's go. When I arrived in Namibia, I flew into Walvis Bay, and from Walvis Bay I took a taxi to Swakopmund, which is a coastal town, and this is where I stayed in a hostel with other volunteers. The night before we went out to base camp, we had an explanation of what was going to be happening during the next 2 weeks of volunteering. Basically, the idea would be that we would make the drive the next morning out to Damaraland. We'd be out there at base camp right on the Ogob River. This is where we will spend a night. After that night, we would head off to our Build Week. And then from Build Week, we would have one night of break and swimming and a shower and stuff like that. And then we would head off for Patrol Week, where we'd be monitoring the elephants. And then after that, we'd come back, spend one more night at base camp, and then after this, head back to Swakopmund. So after our night of instructions and understanding what the program would entail, we had a good night rest, and then the next day we head off to Damaraland. EHRA's beautiful base camp is based right on the Ogob River. You sleep on a tree platform that is high enough so that no elephants can get to you, and we were lucky enough to see the Ogob River flowing as it had rained the days before. Sleeping on the platform under the beautiful night sky and seeing the Milky Way definitely for me was one of the highlights of my experience. After a night at base camp, we headed out deeper into Damaraland for Build Week. During Build Week, you set up a fixed camp for the next week to come back to after building. The campsite is near the farmer you will be helping. The idea of Build Week is to build a water point protection wall for a farmer. Out in this region, conflict between humans and elephants arise due to elephants destroying water points in their search for water. This usually leads to very dangerous altercations between elephants and humans. So a water point protection wall protects these life sources of the farmers and reduces the conflict. Build Week is very physical as you are out there in the desert collecting rocks, collecting sand, collecting and mixing cement and building the wall. You don't have a shower for the whole week, so wet wipes become your friend. But what you lack in showers is made up by the epic sunsets, lovely food cooked over a fire, and the time you spend with the volunteers. It is also very rewarding to see the progress of the wall being built and knowing it is making a difference. During one of the nights when we were back at our campsite, the build site was actually visited by elephants and they drank the whole tub of water which we were using to mix a cement with. And they just had a lovely feast. We even found their tracks in the sand. So besides only building protection walls for farmers, EHRA, the organization with which I volunteered, they actually do a lot more to protect communities as well as the elephants. So what they also did, which we saw during our patrol week, is they build solar-powered dams for the elephants. So this uses solar power energy to bring up water into these elephant dams, and the dams are strategically placed outside of villages. So when elephants are in their search for water, they actually stop at these elephant dams instead of going into villages and taking down the supplies of villages there. And then that, of course, decreases the risky and dangerous interactions between humans and the elephants. Besides this, they also help to educate local farmers and communities about how to coexist with elephants. So all in all, they're really doing their best to make this area where water is scarce to help elephants and humans coexist in a peaceful manner without any violence or any bad situations happening. Once we finished our build week, we packed up to set off to go back to base camp. This time when we arrived at base camp, it was such a special sight because the Ogob River had gone. Now the riverbed was completely dried out and made home to these baboons that kept screeching and running across it. It was also very special because I was not on cooking duty, which meant that I could go up onto the hill with some of the volunteers and somebody from EHRA to go watch the sunset. It really was so beautiful to see the sun go down over Damaraland and light up this beautiful Martian-looking landscape. Once we spent a night at base camp and we had an awesome shower, we packed up the next day to start our patrol week. The next part of the adventure was something that I personally was really looking forward to, which was the Elephant Patrol Week. During the Elephant Patrol Week, we would go out into Damaraland and we would be sleeping in a different campsite each night because we had to stay on the move to go and find the elephants. Finding and tracking and monitoring the elephants is extremely important for EHRA because this is the way they can collect data about the elephants. Have there been any births? Have there been any deaths? Has anything changed in the different herds? Are they able to find herds that they haven't seen in a while? With all this information, they can keep track of how healthy the different herds are in the area and, stay on track with the population. So for us, it was really exciting to get the show on the road and to go find some elephants.
Oh, nobody can believe it.
That is Gentleman. It's a big bull in Boab, one of the big bulls.
What's he called? All the way up
Gentleman.
Gentleman?
Yeah.
How do you know? How can you recognize him?
I can see him.
Yeah.
It's just like when I see you, then I remember the face. Wow.
For the first 2 days of patrol week, we didn't have much luck finding a herd of elephants. We did find an older bull named Gentleman, but although we hadn't found a herd of elephants yet, I was just mesmerized by the ever-changing desert landscape that we were passing through on the Toyota Land Cruiser. On one of our nights, we set up camp in this beautiful region that looked like we had set up camp on planet Mars. After a night on planet Mars, the next morning when we went out for our drive, the first tracks we were surprised with were those of lions.
A young male or a female lion, the track is quite small to be a male, an adult male.
After getting a little stuck on our drive and having someone jump in a hole, we finally found a herd of elephants. It was so amazing to see these beautiful creatures out in the wild and to identify them. There are only 2 groups of desert elephants in the world, of which one lives in Namibia. Knowing how rare these elephants are made this sighting extra special for me. After patrol week, we made a quick stop at one of the local villages and then drove back to base camp where our time with EHRA ended. Well, there you have it, guys. I think volunteering with EHRA was definitely one of my most valuable travel experiences. Not only did I learn so much about elephants, I also think it was really a great experience to be part of a volunteer group volunteering for EHRA and really being dedicated for their mission and vision and, making an impact. I think when you volunteer across the globe, you definitely see a country and a community and everything in a completely different way than when you would actually go and just travel the country. So I would definitely recommend trying out a volunteer project at some point. But for now, I'm going to say goodbye. And if you did like this video, don't forget to hit the little thumbs up. And if you don't want to miss my next videos, just hit subscribe. It would mean a lot to me if you guys show me some support. So I'll see you next time. Bye bye.